God first. You gotta thank God first, you know what I'm saying? And I really want to thank the jury for making the right decision, you know? And I'm just so thankful. This is crazy right now. This whole experience has been crazy for the past 4 years, but I'm thankful. Nonetheless, I'm thankful. And we're blessed to be here right now, to be a free man talking to y'all. Thank you. All praise to God.
Congratulations.
So this week, a Los Angeles jury found Grammy-nominated hip-hop artist A$AP Rocky not guilty of shooting a former friend and collaborator. If convicted of both charges, Rocky could have faced up to 24 years in prison. Now, according to courtroom reporters, he appeared riddled with anxiety ahead of the verdict, leaped into the arms of Rihanna, his longtime partner, once the jury acquitted him. And joining me now to discuss the case, the jury's decision, A$AP Rocky's defense attorney, Mr. Joe Tacopina. Joe, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Hey, Don, how are you, brother?
I'm doing very well. So did I get that right? Because I was watching, I couldn't see, I was watching from the back and I live as the verdict came in and I saw you. I was like, I've never seen Joe like this, but I couldn't really see if A$AP was riddled with anxiety.
Yeah, it was, look, you know, this is the worst part of my job. I mean, this is my 120th jury trial, both as a prosecutor and defense attorney, and especially when you're defending someone in a fight for their liberty and something that will impact their life substantially, the life of their family.
Yeah.
You know, waiting for that verdict is it's terror. It's complete terror, and there's no way around it. And especially facing what he was facing, you know. So there's nothing. Look, I you know, could be a cool cucumber throughout the process, but that's a moment where I can't even pretend.
You're always a cool cucumber because you have very, very high profile cases, some of the most important people in the world, if you know what I mean. And so you've litigated and been in the courtroom for just about every kind of person. So I was like, you know, you're usually cool as a cucumber. You were pretty cool, but I was like, I've never seen Joe like this.
Right, Don, you got it. No, you were 100% right. I mean, and then, you know, cherry on top, the judge did something I've never seen a judge do before. And he's a terrific judge. I liked him a lot, Judge Arnold. But he did something that is unique to him, which is he took the verdict forms and he looked upset. And he had an affinity for Rocky. There's no question about that. Because Rocky is really a terrific person, a gentleman, and he conducts himself in a great manner. And he comes across as a really good person. And he is. So he takes the verdict forms. He looks so upset. And then what he did was something I've never seen before. He asked the jurors to confirm their verdict one by one. He said, I want to hand the verdicts back to the jury. I want them to confirm it. Now, first of all, it normally happens after the reading of the verdict, not before. But even worse, it never happens upon an acquittal. You only ask the jury to confirm a verdict when there is a conviction. Okay? So when he did that, I was as supremely confident as I'd ever been in a verdict. I called it the day before. I think it was on TMZ, and I said I'm very confident that the jury's going to find him not guilty. I lived the case for a month. We shredded their evidence, quite frankly. Reasonable doubt was all over this case, and that's what you need. You just need one. I think I gave the jury 100 examples. And a quick verdict after a month trial, having a 3-hour verdict, is normally favoring the defense.
That's what I wanted to know. So when the 3-hour verdict and then him doing what you said procedurally, that's different. What were you thinking?
I don't know. I was thinking I was going to have a stroke. That's what I was thinking. I didn't feel good. I felt lightheaded because I was confident. We were all confident. My partner, Chad Siegel, has been with me for 22 years. We've been through this. We know when it's right. And it felt right. The summation, after 5.5 hours of speaking to that jury, my summation, I connected with them. I felt it. And we made really good points. And so, but then the judge did that little thing where he looked upset. He gave the verdict form to the jury to confirm their verdicts. And I was like, my God. I looked at Chad, who looked at the local attorney, Sarah Kaplan, and we said, does this happen in California? And she said, never. And I was like, oh my God. So now I'm and Rocky's picking up this whole vibe, and he looks at me and goes, oh shit. And I said, hang in there, brother, hang in there. And I'm putting my arm around him to try and hold them up, but I'm thinking, who the hell's going to hold me up?
Right.
Because I thought this.
You were leaning over the desk, Joe.
I was, yeah. There was a minute then, really a minute where I thought, how could this be? I couldn't process it. Intellectually, I couldn't process it because I knew what this case was. And I knew what we did to their evidence. And I knew what the case, I really knew what the verdict was going to be. I mean, we had a super smart jury. I mean, I had a rocket scientist on my jury. And I literally, a rocket scientist, those rockets, was on my jury, which I didn't even think existed.
Okay, we're going to talk more about the case. I should have started with this, but look, we're going to get to it. We led up to it and gave people a little bit of not anxiety. I don't want to say, but they want to know. So this is the moment that the jury delivered the verdict. Now I want to watch it, and then I want to get your reaction. So here it is.
Court, County of Los Angeles. People of the State of California versus Joaquin Mayers. Case number BA 508142-01. We, the jury in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Joaquin Mayers, not guilty of
Now get the audience. Or you cannot get the audience.
Hold it down. Verdict has to be read on camera.
So I thought you were leaning over. Maybe it was a day that you and the prosecutor were having that fight, and you took your shirt off. Maybe it's
That was every day.
that you were leaning over the desk then. But tell me about that moment.
Okay, that moment is I'm laser focused on the clerk reading the verdict, who also intentionally gave us a heart attack with that long drawn out pause. Find the defendant, Joaquin Mayers, and he went silent for like 12 seconds. I was like, did he have a stroke? What happened? What's going on? Why is he not
It
speaking?
felt like 12 seconds. It wasn't that long, Joe.
It was
Probably
long.
in the
It
moment.
was longer than normal. And he told me he did that on purpose for dramatic effect. I was like, no need. There was plenty of drama already. But anyway, so what happens? I'm laser focused on it because there's 2 counts. And I've seen juries do crazy things. And I didn't know if they were going to split the baby down the middle. I didn't know what was happening. So I'm looking at him, and then I didn't see Rocky leave. I didn't see that. Okay, I heard the eruption, but I just thought it was the family who were obviously on pins and needles. I looked over to talk to Rocky to say, okay, one more and we're good. And he was gone. And I saw my partner. I go, where's Rocky? And Chad's like, he's there. And I looked, and he was like crowd surfing, like he was on Rihanna's lap or something. I was like, wow. I said, okay, Chad, go get him because we have one more count. Okay, how bad will this be? How embarrassing would this be? If on count 2 they find him guilty, we got to undo all that, right? So bring him back, please. So Rocky came back. I put my arm around him. I whispered, Rocky, we have one more to go. Let's just stay here. We have one more to go. And all the while this is going on, I'm having again another moment. I'm trying to, if you can see me, I'm trying to signal the clerk saying, second count, same thing. Second count, same thing. And he's not even acknowledging me. So I was really, and then of course they read the second count, not guilty as well. Then it was a true explosion. I finally said, now we could hug.
So there were 2 counts, right? But I thought I heard 3. Was it 2 counts? But 3.
You got it. You're very perceptive. There were 2 counts, but you heard 3 times. Why? And my partner was confused. Chad said to me, there was 3 counts. I said, no, there's 2 counts. What happened was when that happened and Rocky went into the crowd, when he came back, the clerk said, but sort of softly, let me start again. And he read the first count again, not guilty, which prompted Chad and Rocky to start hugging again. I'm like, guys, it's still count 1. Let's get to count 2.
So and even more anticipation and anxiety, right?
So finally, 2 full counts were read, not guilty on both. And then it was just a pure elation for him, for Rihanna, for the mother, for the family, and for me, because he'd become family to me.
Let's talk about this. I'll talk about the family thing, and I'm going to get the ASAP Joe into a little bit. But can you just walk us? I want to take a step back and walk us through the facts of this case, because Terrell Efron, right? Is that ASAP Relly? Tell us about this case. What happened?
Look, it's a claim that he was. First of all, when I started this case out, the theme was that this is a greedy, jealous, pathological liar who was trying to extort Rocky and get money from him over an incident that he fabricated. There was a dispute, no question. There was a fight, but he was the instigator. He had deleted text messages that were in his text string with Rocky before turning his phone over to the police that we had. And it clearly showed that he was the instigator. And he manipulated evidence in this case terrifically. And basically, they had this little interaction where Rocky had been carrying a prop gun for 6 months from a DMB video, which he did with Rihanna, where there were prop guns all over the place. He picked one of them out and used it because his security detail said, look, he had a slash on his face because he was attacked in a club. He had a stalker that had broken into his house. He had home invasions. So when he did not have security with him, he carried this prop gun that one of his manager actually helped put together. They put an extended magazine on it because it was meant to look intimidating.
Mhm.
Everyone who knew Rocky knew he carried a prop gun for this period of time, from the DMB video to this incident. When this rally started, who's twice Rocky's size, started picking him up by the neck, and in this first interaction, Rocky pulled out that gun to deter. Obviously didn't use it. You knew it was a prop gun and we knew Relly knew it was a prop gun because after that happened and Rocky put it away and left, this Terrell Efron kept following him. He followed Rocky and Ills and 12E, these other ASAP members, followed them around the corner and was berating them as he was following them. Now, some guy pulls a gun on you and threatens to kill you. The last thing you're going to do if he puts that gun away is follow him. Not only follow him and insult him and challenge him and threaten him, which is what he claims he did. And then he gets around the corner. He starts annihilating and pummeling one of Rocky's friends, this Ills guy who was much smaller. And Rocky, took that starter pistol out and fired 2 warning shots to try and get him, to stop. It didn't work, obviously, because he knew it was a starter pistol. It did create commotion. And ASAP 12, he was a terrific kid. He testified in this case, and an artist on his own right. Told Rocky to leave because now the car alarms were going off and it was a commotion. And eventually everyone left. But
what was it over though? Because it wasn't. They were buddies, right? As a member of his collective.
Yeah. What was over was this guy was so jealous of Rocky. He wanted Rocky basically to take care of him for the rest of his life. He portrayed himself on the internet as a billionaire, a millionaire, a very wealthy individual. Always showing fake things, money, planes, cars. We showed that he had about $700 in his bank account. But he had this false image of himself, and he told people he was a multimillionaire. And he said he could tell people whatever he wants, which is exactly what I want him to tell this jury. And it was about his jealousy of Rocky. It was also about him thinking that Rocky didn't pay for ASAP Josh's funeral. There's another ASAP member who had died tragically in California. Rocky told his mom he would fly the body back and take care of the funeral expenses. He, in fact, did. Somehow this Relly didn't think that happened. He thought Rocky didn't pay him. So there's messages where he's threatening to beat Rocky up over this, going to kick his ass and all that stuff he says, and he used derogatory terms about Rocky. And that's right before this incident. So he had anger towards Rocky. That's clear. And this happened. So, but as a witness, they had to believe, Don, at the end of the day, this jury had to accept the testimony of Terrell Efron, of this guy Relly, ASAP Relly. And I told this jury, and it wasn't an exaggeration, that they had a front row seat to the absolute most incredible witness in the history of American jurisprudence. This guy committed perjury multiple times in front of the jury, admitted committing perjury to this jury by saying, I just wanted to give you that answer because I didn't want to talk to you anymore. I wanted to give whatever answer I wanted to give. It wasn't true, but I wanted to leave. So I just gave you this answer. He told that to the jury. He was caught in lie after lie. He said evidence was fake multiple times that was real, but it was damaging evidence to him. He was just he was an absolute pathological liar.
And so then
and he was lucky enough to recover the shell casings. Remember this is an important fact. Without Relly, the case, there's no evidence of a shooting whatsoever. You see, there's 2 videos. One video where the prop gun is pulled out. The lead case detective told me on cross-examination that there's no evidence that that's an operable gun. Just by looking at it, you can't tell it's operable. So that's 1 down. The second video is a grainy video. You can't even see a gun. Okay, so he acknowledges no evidence of a shooting in that video. The third thing they had was a Nest cam that recorded the sounds of 2 shots being fired. The detective said, yes, that's the sound of 2 shots being fired. I said, well, when you're saying it's from a real gun? He said, yes. I said, well, it could also be from something else, right, detective? And he said, well, it could be. I said, like? And he knew where I was going. He said, a replica gun, a prop gun. I said, exactly. So without Relly's testimony, we have 2 videos and a Nest cam sound. And that's your entire evidence in this case, without Relly. Because don't forget, he's claiming Rocky shot 2 9mm slugs at him. The injury obviously is ridiculous. He has knuckle scrapes from punching this guy. Knuckle scrapes. That's not a bullet wound. Now his story's changed over that. When he filed a $30 million lawsuit against Rocky, he claimed that he was permanently injured by a bullet and he needed medical attention. When he testified before the jury, he said, well, the bullet could have hit me or it could have been the floor. It was the floor when you don't get a bullet that hits one knuckle, takes a dive to the second knuckle, then takes a deep dive to the third knuckle, and then scoots along. That's the nonsense he was bringing. So anyway, long story short is, without his testimony, it was impossible to come to a conclusion that, beyond a reasonable doubt, that there was a shooting. It was one way or another. He was caught in lie after lie after lie before this jury. He cursed in the courtroom. He threw a water bottle in the courtroom during my cross, to the point where it was almost like there was nothing left for him to do. And the jurors stopped looking at him. They stopped looking at him. He was threatening. I mean, this is in the courtroom with a judge, a jury, and bailiffs. Imagine what he's like out in the street, I told this jury. So his tongue was a stranger to the truth, and he committed multiple acts of perjury.
Well,
so without him, it was, impossible.
So he was
the key piece of evidence. Last thing. He claims he went back to the scene an hour and 45 minutes later and found the 2 shell casings within a minute. Okay. He claims he went to Dunkin' Donuts at 11 o'clock at night, picked up a bag, and put the shell cases in a bag. There's no Dunkin' Donuts that's open during the COVID period, especially, but even now in Los Angeles past 8 p.m. So he claims at 11 o'clock he found an open Dunkin' Donuts in Hollywood. Not true. I don't know why he lied about that, but he said he found 2 shell casings at the scene in the spot where this incident was. Problem with that is 7 cops were there within 10 minutes of this alleged shooting, and with the flashlights and the body cams, you could see they searched the exact same area where he claims he recovered the bullets. 7 cops were there 20 minutes. That's 140 minutes of manpower. They didn't find anything. No evidence of a shooting. And miraculously, he comes along an hour and 45 minutes later with a phone flashlight and bends down. Within a minute, he finds 2 shell casings. Obviously, that's a problem.
So he was his own worst enemy on the stand. But do the shell casings, did they even match?
There was nothing to match it to. There was the only thing that was recovered was a magazine in Rocky's house, because Rocky was licensed to carry guns, and there were different bullets from
Okay,
that.
then why would he go through with this? He reported it to the police, right? Why would he go?
No, not right away, Don. That was what a normal crime victim would do. You get someone who tries to kill you, you go right to the police. No, for 2 days he held on to these bullets that he claims he found at the scene, even though there's no proof other than his word that he did, because there's no video of him coming back to the scene. And for 2 days he held it as he was calling Rocky and his manager trying to extort money. He said, give me money. Let me resolve this, or I'm going to the police.
Got it.
Rocky said, go to the police.
Yeah.
So for 2 days, it took him 2 days to report this because he couldn't get a payment from Rocky.
So you think this was about trying to extort him?
Well, that's clear.
Why did this case take so long to go to trial? Because I understand this altercation, Joe, happened in 2021.
Yeah. It took the police, 6 months to arrest Rocky. Why that happened, I have no idea. They had all their evidence within the first week and a half, first month. Nothing new came. There were no fingerprints tying him to these shell casings. There was no DNA tying him to anything. There was, again, aside from the word of this guy, there was no evidence whatsoever. And they relied on him wholeheartedly. We had a tape that also came with evidence where, after Rocky was arrested and charged, he spoke to one of Rocky's friends and said, if he gives me $30 million, I'm getting $30 million, I'll disappear to an island and the DA will never find me.
Wow.
And they won't be able to have a case, so he was selling his criminal case. And, the DA's office didn't know about that, obviously. And when they found that out, they, were fidgeting in their chairs and whatnot, but it was too late.
Were you surprised that this even went to trial, considering what you're telling me? I'm surprised that the judge didn't say, okay, you don't have enough evidence. Why don't you guys, we need to resolve this. Maybe you should.
The judge, it's not really the judge's role at that point. Once it goes to a certain point, it's just, it's really for the jury to resolve it, or the district attorney in their sort of discretion to say, hey, we have a problem here. I think that was the call to make. After this guy really testified, I think the district attorney should have said, you know what, in the interest of justice, fundamental fairness, we have a guy who's admitted to multiple crimes on the witness stand. We haven't caught an extortion. The extortion tape, by the way, he said was a fake tape. He said, that's a fake tape. That's AI. And of course, the DA knew it wasn't fake.
Is he going to face any sort of criminal or any sort of legal action for, you said he lied on the witness stand?
Perjury, multiple times. There's perjury, there's extortion. The district attorney should lock him up. I mean, I called for that yesterday. I said the district attorney of Los Angeles, he made a mockery of their office. He tried to sell their case for $30 million. Sell it. It's on tape.
You think that'll happen?
Pardon?
You think that'll happen? You think they're gonna charge him or arrest him?
I doubt it. Based on the statement of the district attorney yesterday, he seemed to be tone deaf.
Is ASAP Rocky gonna do anything? Is he gonna file any
He's
sort
gonna
of
move on
legal?
with
He
his
just
life.
wants this over.
Wait. What's he gonna do to really take the $700 out of his bank account? I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna move on with his life. He's got so much going on. He's got this big Gucci campaign. Don, that's one of the funniest stories, by the way. I've been on the phone with Gucci for the last year and a half. They have this new cologne coming out that Rocky's the face of. You're not gonna believe the name of this cologne. It's called Gucci Guilty.
Guilty.
I'm not kidding. And they wanted to start the campaign in January. I said, guys, the trial is starting in late January. Please hold. They said, well, we have to put it out there. It's Valentine's Day is coming up. I'm like, you cannot put out Gucci Guilty with Rocky's face on it in January or February for that matter. We have a jury coming. So we compromised. They put out the ad with the Gucci like cologne, but without the wording Gucci Guilty on it. So it was Rocky's face with a bottle of cologne. Carefully, it says Gucci Guilty on it. And I said to them, well, I have a solution. Why don't you just name it Gucci Not Guilty? If you say Gucci Not Guilty, you guys could run the ad right now. So, but they were really good about it, Gucci. And I'm sure they're very happy now because now they could go hog wild with the Gucci Guilty ad.
Does this mean that he's dropping an album? The album, I think, is called "Don't Be Dumb." That's coming. Is that coming out?
It's a good album. I mean, I like all different genres of music, from classical to rock to grunge to hip hop and everything else. But this is good. It's a good album because he's not a gangster rapper. He's a different type of rapper, and this is something I've never heard before. So it's interesting.
Okay, so you don't know how soon, because folks are going to want to know
Soon.
Okay, were you real quick? So I'm going to go through a couple more things with you. Were you worried that he was going to spend 2 decades in prison?
No,
you weren't.
If I were worried, Don, I would have told him take the 6-month plea deal, which would have been 3 months in jail, and move on with your life.
Got it.
I was confident that we were going to see him through this. I really was.
I understand that after the jury delivered this verdict, Rihanna and A$AP Rocky told you that they're going to name their next child, Joe, after you, and they were calling A$AP Joe. Yeah, A$AP Joe. Okay, I want to play that because when he gives you the nickname, this is another video, A$AP Rocky addressing the press outside the court. Watch.
But he's also just a great person. Rihanna, they are seriously the greatest people. And I said I love them, and I really do love them. And I got emotional in my summation because I care about them. This is one of the happiest days of my life, and I'm happy for them because they've earned this and deserve it. Congratulations. Thank you, brother. Okay, guys. Yo, Joe, good shit, brother.
Joe, you know that's going to stick, right? You know people are going to.
A little before that, when Rocky stopped the press conference, said, "This is A$AP Joe." But yes, I apparently it is sticking. Apparently, according to my son, who follows all this stuff on the internet, it's stuck already.
How do you feel about that?
Listen, it's great. I mean, look, A$AP is a real good. It's a good cause. I mean, what it stands for is always strive and prosper, right? And it took kids from Harlem, a bunch of kids who were really underprivileged, who grew up in really distressed areas and had nothing, came together to support each other. Not just rap and music, fashion, clothing, literature. They did a bunch of different things. There's some really, really good people that came out of this A$AP collaborative.
How did Rihanna react?
Oh my God, she was. I've known Rihanna for years now, and got to know her obviously even better in this last month. She's amazing. She's obviously she's on top of the world. She's a billionaire. But she's the most humble, sweet human being. And this was her family, and she understood the ramifications here.
Yeah.
And
how was she throughout all this?
Well, here's what happened during my summation. I turned to thank them, the family, for putting their trust in me. I talked about how great Rocky is. I turned to thank them for putting their trust in me. I looked at Rihanna, and I look at her, and she's bawling. And I looked at her, and I was like, oh, no. I knew the next thing that was going to happen. I lost it in my summation, the last part of my summation, 5.5 hours in. And I started getting teary-eyed. I had to stop for a second and compose myself. And some of the jurors were looking at me. They started crying. I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. But it was emotional. And Rihanna, after the verdict, she grabbed me so hard with the biggest hug, but it was raw. It was raw emotion. She was crying. I was wearing a very light colored suit, and basically, I'm wearing now Fenty makeup on my very light colored suit, but that's
you
okay.
had the color palette on your.
I had the color palette of Fenty, which is a beautiful cologne makeup collection, and look, it was all worth it because that was really a raw emotion, raw joy. And she said, she said something that was beautiful to me, which is thank you for saving my family.
Yeah.
And she's a special woman. She really is.
Sometimes people forget, but when they think like celebrities and people who are high profile, they forget that they're actually human beings. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's a certain stigma around rappers or hip hop artists, right? That sort of street thing where people may not understand. So, what do you want people to know about ASAP Rocky?
When I said he's one of my closest friends, I wasn't just saying it. When I'm representing someone, Don, you know me for a long time, and you know how I feel about you as a person. Um, I care about them like family. I have to be in that bunker mentality when I'm representing someone because I take it personally. And Alex Rodriguez, when I was doing him, he said that something to the New York Times to that effect about it's family to him, and it is family to me. But Rocky was different. He became really like a close, dear friend of mine because of who he is as a person.
Mhm.
He does so many great things that no one knows about. He does charitable work. He goes to Harlem twice, like 3 times a year, and gives away food, money, and clothes and sneakers to kids in the projects. And he doesn't say a word about it. Nobody knows about it. I do.
Mhm.
He does it, but he doesn't want publicity for it. He takes people off the street. I've seen him do it. If he'll see a homeless guy in LA, will stop the car. He'll go hand him several hundreds of dollars just because
Mhm.
he just has this crazy good heart and he's real. He's not one of these. I've made it. I'm successful. I'm with Rihanna. He's the opposite of that. He's such a real guy. If someone says good luck to him, he makes it a point to stop and look him in the eye and say thank you.
Mhm.
He's the opposite of some of these other people I've seen or even represented who, just forget where they came from and don't treat people always, the way they should be treated.
And with respect, is there a civil suit or civil trial come?
Yeah, that's on life support now. But yes, there is.
Oh, so this same person, ASAP
Uh,
Rocky, is there's a civil case against him now?
Against Rocky, and
Against Rocky?
he sued me also because I
For
called
what?
him an extortionist. So he said I sued him I defamed him. I can't wait. I haven't lost a minute's sleep over that. For to defame somebody, they have to have a certain character. So I get to go into his character, which is a character based on things he's done that we have text messages on, um, criminal acts he's committed. I get to go into all that stuff, and I also have him on tape talking about extortion. So I'm more than happy to take that on. I can't wait, but I don't think that case is going to survive, unfortunately.
If it
Um,
does survive, how long will it take to go through the courts?
the civil cases are so much slower. I think we're talking about another couple of years. But again, after the body blow that this guy's credibility just took, I don't know any lawyers who'd be crazy enough to go forward on a contingency and take this case through to a trial because they're going to wind up with nothing.
You don't know lawyers. Yeah, okay.
That would
So
do that. I mean, you have to be really desperate, to be honest with you, because you're going to wind up with nothing. There's no damage, there's no injuries. He had a knuckle scrape, and that's gone. So I just, he's not a sympathetic creature. That's for sure. I mean, as this jury quickly came to that resolution.
is there any chance soon that we will get an interview? Because I'd love to interview him.
Well, Rocky, you mean?
Yeah.
It's like you have an interview. I'm here. It's Rocky. But that's not. Here's the thing with that. That's Amanda Silverman's school. He has a whole team that does that stuff. It's not me.
Okay.
He's so articulate, and But here's the thing: because of the civil case still pending, I'm not worried about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think my case is going to be dismissed. But he still has to be careful about what he says
Yeah.
about this stuff. So that's why his words yesterday were, thanking God, thanking the jury, and naming me ASAP Joe, and there was nothing more than that.
Joe, let me ask you. We're in. I want you to give us some advice, right? Because I said that you've represented some of the highest profile people. Let's put it that way in the actual world, and we're going through some divisive time in the country, and people need to come together. I believe.
Yeah.
Can you give us some advice and tell us what you think of this moment and what we should be doing?
Look, Don, you and I have talked about this, off the camera, off record. Um, I just think we got to get back to being good to each other, kind people. Not, everything doesn't have to be agenda based. And I'm talking about to the right, to the left. I think we just have to get back to a point in time where we're just trying to be decent human beings to each other. And that doesn't mean, I think extreme policies on either side are really bad. So it's an uncomfortable time, to put it mildly, and I just hope we get back to the point where we're just decent people to everyone again, where things like the color of people's skin doesn't matter, but the content of their character does. That there's not this divide because it hurts me. I mean, I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, which was completely, at the time I was growing up there, an all black neighborhood. I thought it was a light skinned black guy growing up. I didn't know the difference. I really did. There were days I'm darker than you.
He's telling the truth, by the way. But
I didn't know, and I grew up in that area. And Reverend Sharpton, when he honored me with the Man of the Year for the National Action Network, the civil rights organization, it was one of the great honors for me, because it's something that is so important to me. There was civil rights of all people, and but I don't think one side's super right, one side's super wrong. I just think we have to get back to being decent people again, just to each other, stop the hate, and just sort of find that balance. I mean, it's like that pendulum has swung one way, it's swung the other way. We just got to get back to a base where there's just goodness. And I think we've lost that a little bit. I'm not a big fan of social media, by the way. That's part of the problem, but whatever.
Yeah. I just thought about this, Joe, if you're ready, because I'm sure there's going to be some track or something with ASAP Joe in it. I don't know if it's going to be as popular as They Not Like Us, but look for it. Are you ready for that?
I'm so ready. This would be my second one, because when I represented Foxy Brown, and Foxy's a legend, Foxy. Yeah. She got arrested on a gun charge, and she actually wrote a song, and I got her off that gun charge. She wrote a song saying, and then they tried to hit me with Anina. Anina's a 9mm. Anina, but I ain't worried because I hired Tacopina. That's the song. So it didn't win a Grammy, but it is in the song. I love Foxy for that. So she put me in rap history. So
all right, ASAP Joe. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming on. All right. Best of luck to you. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate you.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never, ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.